Welcome back, everybody. So, as you can see here, the trim dye that we applied in the last video is fully soaking in for around 24 hours at this point. You see, it's pretty even. It was never touched. We laid it on. We laid it on thick. You got some unevenness on the fender a little bit. That stuff doesn't worry me because we're going to go back with a towel and we're going to level all of these things out. But one of the most important parts here is just how waiting a little bit, a day, allows us to let it soak in more. Now, when you go to level it, it's going to feel a little bit sticky when you're using a trim dye like this. It's going to just feel just a tiny bit sticky on your towel. Don't worry, you're not going to get all of it off, but you see there in the front bumper how you can see that part leveled. You don't have to worry about things like it's not going to come off, right? A lot of people worry when I tell them to wait this long on a piece of plastic. They go, "Oh, it's something's going to happen. It's not going to come off." You see, it's leveling very easily, and it's just a very simple thing to deal with if you do the right steps. And by all means, anyone can do this, like we've said. But this is just a practice of going over about a day later. If you can wait 2, 3, 4 days, even better. And then we're going to go into the coating process, right? So we leveled all of the plastic. We just showed the front bumper there. You're going to see me really, 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 really load up with coating. And now I'm just going to go and I'm going to go ahead and coat this very evenly. Lots of trim coating on this. Let it soak in. You'll even notice on your applicator that you'll start to pick up just some remnants of trim dye as you keep going. That is fine. I know it. A lot of people would be worried. See how there's a little black on that applicator pad? Don't sweat it. That's nothing bad. It's just there's a lot of excess dye that you're just going to pick up along the way. It's not removing it. It's just little bits and pieces that keep coming up. And about a week from now, after this stuff is going to be perfectly set up. After about, a day or so, this can get wet. You don't have to sweat it. But if you notice, I'm not leveling my ceramic coating. I am just laying it on. And if you see in the top left of that bunker or of that, of that bumper, it looks like a high spot. There's just some damage right there. So that's not actually a high spot at all from the dye or the coating. So just to reference that if you see it there on camera. But again, just being really thorough. If you want to lay 2 or 3 coats of trim coating at different times over a next couple days, that's fine. But what is happening now is we are going to a restored, healthy piece of plastic and laying the coating on now. This to me, I've had this last years and years and never had to be done again. Certainly with ours, you're going to find the same thing. This plastic will probably, as long as the car is maintained, pretty decently, you're not going to have to do this process again. And I think that's what puts peace of mind at this and the way that we did it and the way we showed you, and not just slapping coating on burnt trim, which does not have a long lasting effect. It doesn't matter what coating you're using. So get in all the little nooks and crannies. You guys can see the lines of the coating where I'm just leaving a ton of coating on the surface. And the reason I'm leaving a ton of coating on the surface is I want it to soak in. So now we have trim dye that's soaked in. We also now have the coating on top of the trim dye soaking in. This is going to be a pretty healthy piece of plastic that just a few short days ago was completely burnt to a crisp, especially on the front bumper. I told you guys, if you go watch the first video, you can see where you could have done the fenders. And here's where I didn't use black trim dye on the mirrors. So I'm just going to go in with coating. And you can see a little dye has come off on the applicator. Again, it's very, very normal when doing this process. So you guys can see here, look at how trim coating reacts just by itself on a piece of plastic that isn't burnt out. It's just unhealthy and it's not protected. So this finishes nice. I'd probably let this soak in for at least a few hours. And if there were some high spots, I'd go back and wipe them, which I did on this mirror eventually. Look at the difference on this front bumper. You have a now restored and ceramic protected piece of plastic that was burnt to a crisp. As you can see with that dent, the damage I was talking about earlier. I'm ecstatic with this. The customer couldn't believe it. They actually had never had this done before on any vehicle, so they didn't think it would come back. But this to me is just something anyone can do if you do the steps in the right order and you have a little bit of patience. And this is now, look at it, has just a very natural look at the end of it. And that's what I like. I don't want an unnatural piece of plastic. So, hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.